Hi folks, Mal here from Solway Aviation Museum, and today I wanted to give you a bit of a decent update on where we stand with the Beverley. Where better to start that than inside the cockpit section, where Roger in particular has been doing some fantastic work. Seats aren't in yet, but if you look at the detail of the restoration work in here, it looks absolutely fantastic. You know, the detail that he's gone to with switches and labelling to get everything looking as good as it possibly can. Is just fantastic. And an example of that here, you can see really clearly, you know, how he's done all the relabelling, got everything painted back up in mint condition, looking fantastic. And if you stroll back into the rear cockpit, you've got the signaller's station here, which is now pretty much intact, down to the nice little Morse code key there. Switching round to the nav station. So much of the kit is in here now. Doesn't that look fantastic? Desk lamps. Pretty much everything in here now as it would have been back when the Beverley was in service. So the cockpit section is looking absolutely fantastic. There is still, we've got an irritating persistent leak somewhere in here. So we have been keeping plastic sheeting over everything that's been painted just to keep it in the best possible condition. There's another couple of panels showing you the level of work that has gone in here. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that as far as the cockpit section goes, and Steve's finished the work on the exterior on the nose. I'll have a look at that in a minute. But yeah, the cockpit section of the Beverley is getting pretty close to being able to go back on top of the fuselage. Okay, the nose is a bit too well covered over to show you the work Steve's been doing, but you can see the two-tone paint is all good. On both sides there, that's all looking very nice. Right, the big change has been with the centre wing section, the main section of the wings. So these were the other way up, and what is now, they're now the correct orientation. So what is the underside there has been repainted, you know, stripped back, primed, painted over a number of weeks. And then the activity last week was getting the whole lot lifted and flipped. So now we have an intact centre wing section, and it's absolutely enormous, as you would expect. You can see clearly now where the engine mountings will fit and where the engines will then subsequently mount. The next step obviously is going to be to get the upper surfaces stripped and primed and painted like the lower surfaces. Then you can see there's some good work already going on the Beverley fuselage paint wise. So you can see it's got this dark grey underneath at the moment. The fuselage itself is coming along painted nicely. So how it will all work is that the cockpit section there slots on the front here. The main wing section that we were just looking at slots on behind. and that will start to, we hope probably to have that done this year, before the end of the year, fingers crossed. That will give us a lot more rigidity to the fuselage and a lot more weight on the wheels, so we'll be less concerned about things blown away. Just to give you an idea of how tricky the procedure of getting the wings together was, we needed 2 cranes, one to lift each section and hold them in position while Steve waving at you, so that the bolts were left in on this side, but we're all out on this side. So you had to get the 2 sections aligned correctly, held up by the 2 cranes, whilst the bolts went back in to then be able to take the weight of the wings, which are now held off the ground by some careful stacks of pallets. So this is round the far side from where we were just looking. You can see how, you know, how delicate, frankly, it was to get the 2 sections aligned, to get those bolts all in. You know, you're talking fractions of a millimetre of alignment in order to be able to get those in, and it's almost terrifying, isn't it? That's how little holds the wings together. Over behind the main centre wing section, we've got the engine mounts. They've all been primed, painted, ready to go. And then if you've been following previously, you'll know that we've done a lot of work inside the tail section to get it all set up with the paraseating. So the cargo hold could take cargo or passengers, and then upstairs, as it were, in the tail boom, you had the paraseating, so you could fit a bunch of paratroops in here, equipment downstairs, or additional passengers or paratroops. So yeah, internally the tail boom is coming along, but I'll show you the work outside. Hasn't started yet, so there's a lot of, before we can attach this to the top of the rear fuselage, there's quite a lot more work to do there. From a slightly higher elevation, the centre wing section, you can see just how much real estate there is up here, and that's not even the full wing. So that'll give you a really good idea of just how big this beastie is going to be when it's all back together. So that's where we stand at the moment with the Beverley restoration. Hopefully that's given you plenty of information by way of an update. You can see there's masses going on internally and externally on the aircraft. Let us know what you think in the comments section.